Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. A bit of a different setup today. I'm not at home right now. I'm at a friend's in Seattle and kind of had to make it work. I have a great video today for you guys and let's get right into it. So what we're going to be talking about today are 5 habits of highly successful developers, right? So a couple of different things that you guys can work on, a couple of different habits you guys can build over time to ensure that, you guys are successful developers. These are things that other developers I know have used to become successful, things that I've used myself to become successful as well. So without any further ado, let's get right into the video. So the first thing you want to do to ensure that you're on the right path to becoming a highly successful software developer is that you want to master your discomfort, and you really don't want to get comfortable with one language. I'm saying this because a lot of developers graduate from school, they get a degree and they start working, and then they kind of get comfortable in what they're doing and they stop learning new things. So this is very easy to do, especially once you're really good at one language, you've built some experience, and then you're only using that for the rest of your career. These types of things can inhibit you in progressing further and further, and you have to make sure that you're constantly learning new things even when you're already working as a developer. This means that really successful developers don't only know the language they're working with, let's say like C# or something like that. They know how the whole stack works. If they're a back-end developer, they're not only working on the back end, but they also understand how it communicates with the front end, how it communicates with the database, and their knowledge exceeds their expertise or what they're working on right now. And things like this can really separate the good devs from the great, because the great developers are always constantly learning new things. They don't just get complacent and comfortable with one language. They understand that they have to learn new things, and if you enjoy coding, if you like it, and then you can kind of enjoy the process of learning something new, then it'll make your life a lot easier, because you'll always be learning. You won't get kind of out of date, and you'll be ready to adapt to new technologies to work on new things in the future. Now, that being said, you don't want to overdo it, right? You don't want to practice a million different technologies. Obviously, when you are trying to learn something new, you have to spend a lot of time practicing that new thing and actually mastering it and getting good at it, right? If you're just hopping from language to language, learning new things all the time, then you're kind of be like a jack of all trades but like a master of none, right? So you really do want to find that perfect balance between improving the skills you already have and constantly learning new ones. Now, the second habit of highly successful developers is kind of a given. It's to write really good, high quality code, right? Obviously, I'm telling this to you guys and you're like, okay, John, I understand, like, I have to write good code to be a good developer. But it's not as simple as that. Even like great developers at companies get complacent at their jobs, and then they're not focusing on writing clean code, on writing reusable code, right? If you're a new developer and you're watching this video right now, when you're writing code, right, the function should be only doing one thing. It has to be reusable. And if you find yourself you have to code something new, and then you just start coding it and you're writing all this code without checking that it already exists or there's libraries that are doing it, you're kind of doing more bad than good. Ideally, the code you write serves one purpose, and then other developers are able to reuse it. This increases the efficiency and reduces all these useless lines of code that developers are writing. Now, writing good, high quality code also involves a lot of planning. So before you even write any code, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have planned out all the different features, potential test cases, places where it could break, maybe identify different technologies that are more efficient, certain databases, whatever it may be. But before you actually write any code, if you want to be a highly successful developer, get into the habit of planning it all out and keeping the end product in mind while you're developing. If while you're working, that this app, for example, is supposed to do one thing, but as you're developing, you realize that, okay, I'm building this right now using one technology, but in the future, this could limit me. And this is what can separate good from bad developers, because bad developers would, kind of get attached to their code. They wouldn't kind of want to change what they're doing. Whereas the good developers are going to understand that, okay, I could have been wrong. I didn't plan correctly, and now as I'm planning and as I'm coding, I realize that there's a crucial flaw in my architecture, and they adapt and change along the way, right? You also don't want to sacrifice the code quality to get something done faster. So if you have a tight deadline and that the way you're doing it right now is gonna be acceptable, it's gonna get the job done, but it's not the best way, and you're just kind of prioritizing the speed of your accomplishment as opposed to actually writing the good quality code. Sometimes this can be good, to hit the deadline, but if this develops into a habit that you're doing every single time, and you're just finishing a task as soon as possible, just to get it out, this is going to eventually lead to you building pretty bad habits and sacrificing the ability to genuinely get better at coding by applying different tactics and writing more efficient code, writing reusable code, taking into account memory and speed and stuff like that. That'll make you a lot better of a developer, as opposed to if you're just writing code for the sake of writing it and getting something done fast. So writing good, high quality code, it seems like a given, but it's really hard to do, and a lot of developers they might start off like that, but they get complacent and they eventually stop doing it. But if you can build the habit early on in your career, of writing good, high quality, reusable code, spending time to make your code better, that'll make you a great developer much faster. The next habit I would build to be a highly successful developer would be to ask for help the right way. There's an unlimited amount of developers that either wait too long to ask a question, or they don't try enough solutions and then they ask too quickly, right? They don't try anything and they ask for help just to kind of get a solution. The best way to go about asking for help is to, once you have a task, try out a couple of solutions, try out a couple of different things before you ask for help, because you really want to have given it a proper attempt and you want to understand why it's not working, so that when you ask for help, you can explain, okay, this is what I've tried, this is what I'm struggling with, do you have any advice? As opposed to if you didn't put any effort at all and you kind of just get the task, you think about it a bit, you don't really try any solutions, and then you go to a more senior developer and you ask them, okay, hey, could you help me out with this? They're going to ask you, okay, well, what have you tried? What have you tried so far? And then you won't have anything to say, right? And this is kind of a bad look, and it's not the proper way that you should go about asking for help from others. And once you do ask for help from others and they're giving you some advice, right, you really want to listen before you speak. Take everything they're saying into account, especially if it's a more senior developer, because they really know what they're doing and they could provide some more ideas that you have not thought of, right? A big mistake that a lot of developers make, like I said before, is getting too attached to their code, right? So imagine you write a solution, you're really close, you're so close to being done, you spend a couple of hours on it, but there's just one thing that's not working, and then you ask for help, and all of a sudden you realize that, okay, this is not the right way to do it, I've kind of used the wrong technology, there's a much more efficient and easier way to write this code, but I just spent my entire day writing this code, I don't want to restart. If you can learn how to let go of the code you wrote and just start fresh, that is such a good habit to build, and it'll make you a much better developer. Also, knowing how to ask for help online using resources like Stack Overflow, maybe even Reddit, YouTube videos like this one, that'll help you so much in the long run. And knowing how to Google things as well, obviously. The next habit I have to build, and arguably one of the most important ones that people just don't think about, is just the ability to be focused for a long period of time, for hours on end. If you can develop some sort of strategy for yourself so that you can stay focused on one task for hours on end, that's super beneficial. And what I've realized is that every single person has something different that they do to kind of get them in a focused state, right? It could be the time of day you work at. Maybe you want to wake up at 5 a.m. and that's the time where you're most efficient, when it's super quiet, or super late at night, in the middle of the day. Things like the music you're listening to, things like the lighting in your room, like I like to have a candle and like some chill music late at night. That's when I'm most efficient, and that's when I know that I can focus really hard and really get a lot of work done in a short amount of time because I'm so focused. So the habit I would build is try different things and find what works for you so that you can really stay focused and work on one thing without distractions for a long period of time. And along with this, I would say that being comfortable sitting in front of a screen for hours on end is something that not everyone can do. And building that habit of getting comfortable, if you want to be a software developer, you're going to be sitting in front of a computer, looking at a screen, coding for hours and hours on end every single day. And if you don't like that, then you might have a lot of trouble becoming a great developer. But if you're able to stay focused, if you're able to sit down in front of the screen for hours, that's really the foundation of what you need to be a developer. And along with developing a good habit to focus, what you also want to do is prioritize the things that you want to work on beforehand. So if you have a task, right, things that can help is, if it's a big task, breaking it down into smaller tasks that are much more actionable and that you can complete one by one, and really see your progress as you go on. Stuff like this really helps me focus, and it gives me a plan of what I'm working on, and it lets me not get overwhelmed. And when I'm focused and I'm ticking off one by one these lists, it's when I'm the most productive. And honestly, like, building this habit over time has really helped me get a lot of work done and become a better developer. And along with this, you don't want to go down rabbit holes. If you're super focused on one task and one solution and you're working on it, and you realize that, okay, I've been trying this for so long and it's not working, don't go down the rabbit hole. Know how to, change your focus from one solution to another and then get right back at it. It's really easy that when you're focused and you're working hard, you're just plugging away at one thing over and over again to just, get into this kind of like zombie state where you're just trying the same thing. But if you can kind of get out of the situation, refocus on something else, that's a great habit to build. The last tip that I have for you guys of a habit to build is to enjoy coding. Now, some ways to do this is build things that you think are cool. If you're super into sports, maybe build some sort of web app to show sports results, stuff like that. Build a project that you're into. Especially if you're learning, it's the best way to learn is project-based building. So find something that you're interested in, that you want to build, maybe an iOS app, maybe an Android app, something. It could literally be anything just that you're interested in. And if you can build something like that, it'll really make you enjoy coding because you see the final product, you see what you've built, and then it really motivates you. So I would say you really have to enjoy coding to become a great developer. And I know it sounds stupid, but you know, if you build this habit early on and you really enjoy the coding, then it'll make it a lot easier to not give up. Coding is pretty hard to learn when you're, you know, a beginner, and when you're starting off it could be overwhelming. But if you're building something that's cool, if you're having fun with it, it's going to be so much more fun. It's going to be so much easier to learn, and you're not going to give up even if you're a bit overwhelmed, because you're going to see that, you know, it's hard, but you're having fun, you're learning, and it's an enjoyable experience. So guys, I hope this video has helped you out. These are a couple of habits that can help you become a highly successful developer. Now, you don't have to do any of these. You can do one, you can do all of them. I'm just trying to throw out ideas for you all that are struggling to, you know, step to that next level, or if you're learning and you're kind of plateauing, some habits you can build to really improve and get better and closer to your goals. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below of some habits you guys have built. If you've enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe to the channel. There's new content coming out every week. And if you want to become a software developer, there's no better place than here. Have a good day, everyone, and enjoy your coding.